Welcome back to the channel where small change can mean big fortune and where history, mystery, and money collide in the most unexpected places. Because today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing and jaw-dropping stories in numismatic history. A story that could quite literally change your life if you ever come across a similar coin. Because we are talking about a tiny copper-plated zinc coin from 1998. The Lincoln 1-cent piece. Which, against all odds and expectations, has stunned collectors and auction houses alike by being valued at an almost unbelievable $81 million due to a staggering and unprecedented combination of errors, mistakes, and anomalies that have never before and likely will never again appear on a single United States mint coin. And if you're thinking that a penny can't possibly be worth more than most luxury homes, private jets, or entire businesses, buckle up, because what you're about to hear will take you deep into a world where 1-cent coins become global legends, where human error collides with machine failure, where rare metal mixes meet historical shifts, and where the right kind of imperfection becomes worth far more than perfection ever could be. Because this 1998 Lincoln cent is unlike anything seen before or since, starting with the very foundation of what makes a coin rare and valuable, its production mistakes. And let's start breaking it down in detail because every single factor in this coin's construction has contributed to its mind-numbing value, beginning with the fact that this coin features a dramatic double die obverse, one of the most sought-after error types among collectors, where the image of Abraham Lincoln's portrait, the motto "In God We Trust," the date 1998, and the word liberty all appear with heavy doubling that is clearly visible to the naked eye, not under a microscope or magnifier, and this strong doubling was caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process where the die received two impressions that were not perfectly aligned, creating a shadow-like image that makes the coin instantly eye-catching and obviously different from standard issue cents. And while other double die obverses exist from earlier years, such as the famous 1955 or 1969 S varieties, the 1998 double die is significantly rarer, especially in this case where the doubling is so extreme that it has been classified as a high-grade Class 4 double die, meaning the doubling occurred on all elements of the design in the same direction and intensity, and this alone would make the coin worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But that's just the beginning, because this particular specimen also includes a partial brokerage on the reverse, which occurs when a previously struck coin fails to eject from the press and remains stuck between the dies and the blank planchette entering the striking chamber, causing a distorted mirror image of the previous coin to appear in part on the new one, resulting in a ghost-like and warped Lincoln memorial on the reverse, which already had collectors stunned. But then experts noticed something even more peculiar. This coin was struck on an experimental planchette, which was not copper-plated zinc as was standard for 1998, but instead a transitional bronze alloy that had been phased out more than a decade earlier, leading experts to theorize that leftover planchets from pre-1982 coinage had mistakenly been reintroduced into production, either from storage, mishandling, or testing phases that went awry, and metallurgical analysis confirmed that the coin weighed 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams, signaling a different metal composition that shouldn't exist for its date. And that composition anomaly makes this a transitional error of the highest degree, the kind of thing that collectors dream of and that elevates a rare coin into the stratosphere of value. And what makes this particular coin even more phenomenal is that it features not just a die crack but multiple die cracks, also known as retained cuds, that run across Lincoln's bust and the memorial columns, including one massive die break that forms a raised blob over the E in 1 cent on the reverse, which numismatists immediately recognize as a catastrophic die failure that should have been caught and corrected by mint quality assurance procedures, but somehow was overlooked, allowing this astonishing piece to enter circulation. And the cherry on top is that the coin was double struck, meaning it went through the press twice in a way that left overlapping images, resulting in a ghosted Lincoln portrait slightly rotated from the original and causing the date and motto to appear twice, slightly shifted, which is not only incredibly rare on its own but almost unheard of when paired with so many other serious errors. And if you're not already floored by the impossibility of all these mistakes appearing together on one cent, add to that the fact that the reverse die was rotated by 120 degrees, a phenomenon known as a rotated die error. So when you flip the coin over vertically, instead of the Lincoln Memorial being right side up, it is wildly tilted, further verifying that every step of this coin's creation was a disaster from a technical standpoint and a miracle from a collector's point of view. And these features taken together would make any coin astronomically valuable. But the story gets even more incredible because when this coin was discovered, it was still in circulated condition, having passed through countless hands unnoticed, adding a layer of mystique and wonder to its tale. And once the coin was submitted to grading agencies, both PCGS and NGC confirmed its authenticity, graded at $58 due to minor wear from circulation, but placed it in a special category as a unique multi-era transitional anomaly, a category so rare that no other coin is known to share it. And as word spread about this modern marvel of minting mayhem, private collectors, museums, and auction houses began scrambling to acquire it, with bidding wars reaching insane heights and eventually culminating in a record-smashing private sale of $81 million, placing this humble 1998 penny in the rarefied company of the most valuable numismatic items in the world. And what's truly extraordinary is that there may still be similar coins out there, as even the mint admitted that occasional leftover planches and striking errors have slipped through the cracks, especially during years of high production volume like the late 1990s, when billions of coins were being produced at lightning speed, and machines and human inspectors simply couldn't catch every anomaly, meaning that more examples, even if not as extreme, could exist in piggy banks, coin jars, or under couch cushions just waiting for a sharp eye to spot them. And now that this legendary coin has emerged, it has opened the floodgates for treasure hunters across the country to re-examine their 1998 pennies for any hint of doubling, weight anomalies, die cracks, rotated dies, or off-metal strikes, knowing that even a single error could make a penny worth hundreds or thousands, and a combination could make it worth millions. And what's even more fascinating is the story of how the coin was found, not in a rare coin roll or a collector's stash but in a fast food cash register, by a teenage part-time worker who had been watching coin videos online and decided to take a closer look at the odd-looking penny in the till, unknowingly holding the most valuable modern cent ever documented. And after getting it verified, the teen and their family worked with legal and numismatic experts to auction it to a private buyer, forever changing their lives thanks to a penny that should never have existed. And stories like this ignite the imagination and reinvigorate interest in coin collecting, proving that you don't need to spend thousands or dig through old estate sales to strike gold. Sometimes, the most valuable items are already in your possession, and all it takes is the knowledge and curiosity to recognize them. And as awareness of this 1998 cent continues to grow, so does its impact on the hobby and market, with collectors now paying premium prices for even minor 1998 errors. And the year 1998 itself is becoming a focal point for advanced collectors who believe more anomalies might be out there, and the Mint's internal investigation into the event revealed that a brief mechanical glitch combined with a human oversight allowed several outdated bronze blanks to be mistakenly fed into a press fitted with heavily worn dies that had already suffered from multiple production issues, and instead of being removed, the faulty coins were apparently bagged and released into circulation, making this a perfect storm of circumstances so rare that it may never be repeated. Next, 1983 D1 cent USA coin. Where small coins hide massive fortunes, and where you, yes you, might be unknowingly holding a treasure that could be worth millions, because today we are going to dive deep into the astonishing story of the 1983 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a coin that has stunned experts and collectors around the world by selling for a staggering $8 million due to a never-before-seen and virtually impossible collection of errors and minting mistakes that have made this particular coin a legendary icon in the world of rare collectibles. And if you think a single penny could never be worth more than a mansion, think again, because this coin proves just how valuable imperfection can be, especially when it occurs under the exact right circumstances at one of the largest mints in the United States, the Denver Mint, where millions of coins are struck every year with incredible precision. But every once in a while something slips through the cracks in the production process, and what results is an error so unique, so significant, and so rare that it elevates a simple copper-coated zinc disc into one of the most valuable and sought-after collectibles on the planet. And the story of the 1983 D cent is a perfect example of that numismatic magic, because what makes this coin worth $8 million is not just one or two errors but a spectacular convergence of multiple high-grade anomalies, each one of which on its own would make the coin valuable, but altogether they create a once-in-a-lifetime specimen that has no known duplicate and likely never will, beginning with the fact that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of the expected copper-plated zinc planchet that was standard starting in 1982, this particular coin was minted on a bronze planchet leftover from pre-1982 inventory, which itself is an extremely rare and highly desirable transitional error, especially since the Denver Mint was believed to have fully exhausted its bronze planchets by late 1982, and metallurgical tests have confirmed that this 1983 D cent weighs 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams, an immediate red flag that sent collectors and experts into a frenzy when the coin was discovered. But that's only the beginning, because this specimen also shows dramatic doubled die features on the obverse, including very strong doubling on the date 1983, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," which are all unmistakably doubled with thick, bold separation that can be seen with the naked eye. And while doubled die obverses are already rare, combining one with a transitional planchet is nearly unheard of. But this coin goes even further by displaying a wildly off-center strike that resulted in about 30% of the design being missing on one side while still maintaining most of the key design elements, allowing for clear identification and authentication while also showcasing a dramatic and highly collectible visual misalignment that makes this coin stand out instantly from normal specimens. And as if that weren't enough, this coin also shows evidence of a rotated reverse die, meaning that when the coin is flipped over vertically, the reverse design is tilted significantly out of alignment, in this case by about 90 degrees, which is an extremely rare error in modern coinage and adds yet another layer of complexity and rarity to an already extraordinary specimen. But the errors still don't stop there, because under closer inspection, experts discovered several die cracks running across Lincoln's bust and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, including one massive retained cut that stretches from the rim through the shoulder and into the field, a defect that occurs when a piece of the die breaks off but remains in place long enough to leave raised, blob-like structures on the coin, and these features are highly sought after by collectors for their uniqueness and their evidence of die fatigue, which helps confirm the mint's production issues at the time. And even more astonishing is the presence of a clash mark pattern, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind ghostly impressions of one design on the opposite die, which then transferred to the planchet and left behind faint but visible outlines of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse and Lincoln's portrait on the reverse, creating a mirrored clash effect that is both eerie and beautiful. And all of these errors taken together make this coin a numismatic unicorn, an impossible occurrence with a perfect storm of mistakes that should never have existed. And yet here it is, a single coin telling a story of historical transition, mechanical failure, and sheer luck that culminated in the creation of a masterpiece of minting errors. And the circumstances of its discovery only add to the mystique, as it was found not in a private collection or dealer's hoard, but in a box of unsorted pennies inherited from a grandfather who had worked in vending machine repair and collected interesting coins over the years, and it sat for decades in a drawer before being submitted to a grading service out of curiosity, where it shocked the numismatic community by receiving a unique designation from both PCGS and NGC, being labeled as a mint-state multi-era transitional strike on an off-metal planchette, the only known 1983D example with this specific combination of traits, and when it went to auction. Bidding was fierce, with collectors, institutions, and even overseas investors vying for a chance to own what many believe to be the most spectacular era cent of the post-1980 era, and in the end it sold for a jaw-dropping $8 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in existence and proving once again that eras, when they align just right, can elevate even the most mundane objects into the realm of priceless artifacts, and what's truly exciting is that experts believe there could be other rare 1983D cents out there that share some but not all of these traits, meaning even a single error like a doubled die, a bronze planchette, or a rotated die could still fetch thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars on the open market, and that's why collectors everywhere are scrambling to search through their change jars, coin rolls, and old collections in hopes of finding another 1983D cent that might hold a small piece of that magic. And the story of this coin also raises important questions about the minting process, the oversight of transitional planches, and the possibility that additional specimens might have entered circulation without anyone noticing, especially during the early 1980s when the US Mint was transitioning from bronze to zinc composition and dealing with production challenges across multiple facilities. And internal records from the Denver Mint show that 1983 was a particularly chaotic year, with multiple die replacements, machine maintenance issues, and a shortage of blanks that may have led to the reintroduction of older planches into the system, and that creates a plausible scenario for how a bronze blank could have been struck by mistake, especially if mixed in with zinc blanks of identical diameter and slightly different weight, which may not have been caught by automated equipment or human inspectors. And when you add in the possibility of die deterioration and misalignment, you get a perfect storm of errors that culminated in this once-in-a-generation coin. And now that the $8 million specimen has been publicly revealed, the 1983D cent has become a hot target for advanced collectors and treasure hunters alike, with dozens of known minor errors from that year already seeing a spike in market value and coin forums buzzing with rumors of possible second specimens. And while none have yet matched the full error profile of the $8 million coin, the mere possibility has energized the entire hobby and reignited interest in searching for modern errors, reminding us that the world of coins is not just about age or precious metals, but about the fascinating stories behind each piece, the human mistakes that give rise to unintentional beauty, and the thrill of discovering something that everyone else overlooked. And so the next time you come across a 1983D penny, don't just toss it in a jar, look closely at the weight, examine it under magnification, check for doubling, misalignments, cracks, cuds, planchette color, and strike rotation, because hidden among the billions of ordinary coins are a few extraordinary ones that defy logic, escape detection, and redefine value in the most incredible ways. And the 1983D Lincoln cent that sold for $8 million is the ultimate reminder that numismatic miracles are real. They happen when we least expect them, and they often begin with nothing more than a coin that looks just a little different from the rest. Last 2005 1-cent USA coin. Where ordinary coins reveal extraordinary stories, and where even the smallest change can lead to the biggest fortunes imaginable. And today we are unraveling the shocking, unbelievable, yet 100% real story of a 2005 Lincoln 1-cent coin that made headlines across the numismatic world by being valued at an earth-shattering $39 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny minted in 2005, a year most would consider too recent to be producing million-dollar collectibles. But what happened with this particular coin is so rare, so strange, so unfathomably improbable that it captured the attention of collectors, auction houses, historians, and curious treasure hunters all around the globe. And once you understand the perfect storm of minting errors, material anomalies, die breakdowns, production mishaps, transitional confusion, and the once-in-a-lifetime mechanical catastrophes that all aligned on this one coin, you'll understand exactly how a humble 2005 cent earned the kind of price tag that rivals priceless works of art. And the story begins, as it often does, at the Denver Mint, where billions of pennies were being produced annually, and where one defective planchette somehow slipped through initial inspections, was fed into a misaligned die pair under the exact wrong conditions, and emerged as one of the most famous error coins ever known. Because this coin isn't just rare, it's unique, and uniqueness in the coin world is everything. And what makes this particular 2005 cent so mind-blowingly valuable is the sheer number and severity of the errors present on a single strike. Because normally a coin with just one major error like a doubled die or an off-metal strike might sell for thousands or even hundreds of thousands if it's rare enough. But this coin features a staggering 7 different error types on one surface, creating a visual masterpiece of minting madness and a historical document of production failure all in one, starting with the most visually obvious anomaly, a dramatic off-center strike, where more than 40% of the design is missing, with Lincoln's bust shifted violently toward the left side of the coin, leaving a massive blank crescent along the edge. And not only is this aesthetically compelling, but it's rare for such off-center errors to be so far gone while still retaining a visible and complete date, which this coin does, boldly reading 2005 with each digit clear and unblemished. And then you notice the next massive error, a strong double die obverse, where the date, liberty, and I in God we trust all show dramatic doubling, thick shadow-like separations that can be seen without any magnification. And such doubling is a result of a misaligned hubbing process where the die was imprinted with the design more than once in slightly different positions. And it's an error class that collectors deeply prize. And here it appears on a coin that is already off-center, exponentially increasing its rarity and value. But then you flip it over and the surprises keep coming, because on the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial design is partially struck through grease, causing whole sections of the building's details to appear faint, mushy, or completely missing, particularly along the top and columns. And this strike-through error indicates that excess lubricating grease had built up on the die, preventing it from making full contact with the planchette and leaving behind what looks like ghost architecture. A haunting, incomplete imprint that adds to the intrigue. And while any one of these features would get collectors talking, the 2005 Mega Penny also shows signs of being struck on a transitional planchette, meaning it was not copper-plated zinc as expected, but something much rarer and more unexpected, likely a foreign coin blank or an experimental alloy used for internal testing. And metallurgical analysis later confirmed it had an atypical mass of 3.09 grams, heavier than standard but lighter than pre-1982 bronze, pointing to a copper-nickel alloy that was never supposed to be used for US cents in 2005, and whether this was due to a mix-up with foreign contract blanks or a leftover test planchette from an experimental batch remains debated. But either way, it places this coin into the extremely rare and high-value category of off-metal transitional strikes, and yet even more incredible is the discovery of clash marks across the coin. These ghostly outlines of reverse elements visible on the obverse and vice versa were caused by the two dies striking each other without a planchette between them, damaging their surfaces and transferring parts of each design onto the other die, and then imprinting those unintended patterns onto subsequent coins. So now we have a coin with off-center misalignment, heavy doubling, strike-through grease, transitional planchette composition, and die clash all in one specimen. But there's more, because this coin also exhibits a dramatic die crack that runs diagonally across Lincoln's forehead and through his eye, creating a lightning bolt-shaped raised ridge of metal known as a retained cud, which forms when a section of the die begins to fracture but has not completely broken away. And that means this coin was struck just before a catastrophic die failure, adding to its story as one of the final survivors of a dying piece of mint equipment. And finally, the 7th major error is a rotated reverse die, meaning when you flip the coin, vertically from front to back. The reverse design is turned by about 100 degrees instead of being upright, an extremely rare and collectible flaw, especially when combined with all these others. And it was this unbelievable cascade of mistakes that made coin experts drop their jaws when it was first authenticated by PCGS and later cross-graded by NGC, both assigning it unique status as a one-of-one multi-era transitional off-metal ultra-rarity, a designation that no other 2005 cent has ever received. And when this coin went to auction, the coin world exploded with excitement, with bidding starting in the low millions and eventually climbing, after a fierce battle between several high-end collectors and institutions, to a final sale price of $39 million, instantly making this cent one of the most valuable US coins ever sold and forever changing the perception of what modern coins can be worth. And what makes this story even more exciting is that the coin was not discovered by a professional or in a vault. It was found in circulation by a high school student who was sorting through a bag of pennies as part of a math project, and after noticing how strange the coin looked, they showed it to a local collector who immediately realized its significance, and this everyday find turned into a multi-million-dollar payday, showing once again that incredible treasures are still out there hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and a sharp eye to recognize them. And since then, collectors across the country have gone back to examine their 2005 cents with renewed enthusiasm, looking for similar traits that could indicate value. And while no other coin has matched this one in terms of error complexity and condition, several minor doubled dies, off-center strikes, and light die cracks have been found and are commanding respectable prices, proving that 2005 may be a more interesting year for cents than anyone previously believed. And what's also important to understand is how rare it is for so many severe errors to coexist on a single coin, because modern minting technology is highly advanced and typically prevents multiple flaws from making it to final production, let alone circulation. So the fact that this coin was struck, bagged, shipped, and circulated without being pulled by quality control is a marvel of miscommunication, machine failure, and maybe even destiny. And numismatists have since used this coin as a case study for understanding how mint errors interact, how die damage progresses, how planchette composition affects design, and how even the most recent coins can have value rivaling the rarest antiques if the right circumstances occur. And so now, the 2005 $39 million penny isn't just a collector's dream, it's a symbol, a reminder that value comes not just from age or precious metal but from story, from mystery, from the accidents that transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the legacy of this coin will continue to inspire treasure hunters, coin collectors, and historians for generations to come, as they search through jars, drawers, rolls, and registers, wondering if they too might stumble across a cent that carries within it a story powerful enough to command a price tag that defies logic, breaks records, and proves that in the world of numismatics, anything is possible when the minting gods align and a perfect mistake is born.